Hi, Leo rising sign. Here is your weekly forecast starting on the 24th of March until the 31st of March. So, just in case you are wondering, I'm using Western Whole Sign House system, and there is a lot happening in your ninth house, which is connected to wisdom and higher learning, as well as opportunities. But your sacred mission is actually happening in your eighth house, which is your shared resources and intimacy department. So it looks like we are moving from an ideological fog to more of a creation of an intellectual foundation. Last week we had the Sun and Neptune conjunction in the sign of Aries in your ninth house. Maybe it was a bit of a spiritual fog, or maybe there were missed opportunities connected to travel or studies, or maybe you doubted whether you were on the path of, on a meaningful life. Maybe you were over idealizing a long term goal, or your beliefs felt a bit kind of unanchored. But now the sun hits Saturn in the same ninth house, and the dreaming is ending, and more of a curriculum that you are writing up here. So, this is about sitting down, setting firm rules for your growth, whether it's a legal matter or a publishing project or a long distance plan, vision or relocation. Saturn is here to help you build a more rigid structure. It's time to stop thinking about the bigger picture and kind of like start drafting the blueprint for it. Now, I think the big news is actually March 27th, when Saturn is actually making a sextile to Pluto. So Pluto is in your seventh house. But you might want to go back to 2020, January. That heavy Saturn-Pluto conjunction happened in your sixth house, the house of work and systems. And maybe this was a total restructuring of the work that you do, or the way you complete your chores, or even your physical health. Maybe you had to learn exactly what your body or your schedule could handle, especially when you are under extreme pressure. Now, Pluto is in your seventh house and Saturn is in your ninth house. So, all that operational discipline you learned, let's say at work in 2020, now you're going to have to use it for your own advantage and maybe connecting with international partnerships or certain type of a teaching contract. It's about turning your daily grit into more of a global influence. So if you have been working on a system, this is the week you find a partner who respects your vision. Maybe because they see kind of like this solid structure you have started building behind it. Um, the reason why we are looking at the conjunction between these two is because that was the initial seed. So let's say you wanted to get healthy. Then this aspect is about maybe making adjustments to your beliefs. And then I'm going to get healthy by, attending, for example, a seminar, or I'm going to learn a little bit more about medical matters and so on. If it's work related, maybe you have started studying something and then now you have to become the teacher. Maybe you even have to collaborate with others. Like I said at the beginning of the video, you have got your sacred mission in the eighth house because we have got the Vesta and North Node conjunction. Vesta is your sacred mission. Vesta is devotion, and the North Node is about growth. So it happens in the eighth house, which is the house of shared resources, deep intimacy, and pretty much the contracts of the soul. So it's about you becoming devoted to a deep merger, like financial or emotional one. This isn't necessarily just, let's say, about splitting bills. It's about kind of like taking shared responsibility in each other's life. This is about you focusing a little bit more on your debts or wanting to make deep connections with others, or you are ready to commit to a specific financial plan, or you are ready to dig up your intimate truth as well. The Northwood is trying to pull you to find growth through vulnerability, shared responsibility, and it is asking you to focus on who you can trust, While we have got this Vesta and North Node conjunction, of course, the Mercury is super close by as well. And Mercury is your financial planet, for example. So there is a financial focus here. And maybe you want to be looking at what is leaking your money. We also have got the Mars and Pallas Athene conjunction in the eighth house as well. And that's definitely giving this tactical strategy vibe to it. So this is about coming up with a plan of how to improve finances, for example, or you are being ready to conquer your inner demons when it comes to having to be strong all the time, or rewriting the narratives in your life, or you're ready to go after certain type of investment opportunities, financial opportunities. This is about a deep negotiations or a psychological breakthrough, but it's also reminding you not to use any type of force. Sometimes you're just going to have to go with the flow. And of course, Pallas Athene says use pattern recognition to navigate through the power dynamics, for example, in your relationships. We have got quite a strong Cancerian um, energy pattern happening in your chart as well in your 12th house, which is the house of unseen. And we spoke about that last week already due to Jupiter, Apollo, Isis, and Eros getting activated there. But now Sappho joins the club as well. So this is about finding divine joy in solitude, meditation, secret work, even creativity as well. This is the perfect day to go on a getaway or a spiritual retreat or finishing a project in private. This is about attending your inner world. Um, and even it could really talk to us about we just want to be spending a little bit of a time with our chosen family. Now, Venus enters your 10th house this week and immediately squares Juno in your 7th house. So Venus in the 10th house wants beauty, success. It wants to kind of get ahead a little bit in career department. But Juno in your 7th house is about commitment to a partnership, a specific contractual agreement. So, you want to be somehow improving your professional image, and maybe you want to stay late at work because you kind of want to win, but you made a commitment to a partner, and that could create a bit of a tug of war. Let's say your partner wants you home, but you also committed to a public event, for example, which requires you somehow to attend. So it's kind of like negotiating the price of success. So it doesn't necessarily break the contract you made with others. So it requires you to balance partnership and work. So I would say that this is about coming up with a long-term plan, fixing up your long-term goals. And if a goal is vague, then Saturn is kind of giving you a deadline, giving you the manual to kind of fix that up. It also reminds you that growth is going to be coming from kind of like a merger. Uh, Intimacy department is somehow your sacred mission. And uh, the other reminder is not to let your public reputation destroy your private commitments. Now, if you want to gain a little bit more understanding of how the week ahead plays out, I highly recommend listening to the general forecast as well, because I'm giving you the sensitive degrees in there. I'm giving you additional information. And you should remember that the single most important aspect of the week ahead is always the one that triggers your natal chart. So that's why you might want to be listening to the general forecast. But I would say that this week is very much about fostering genuine connections with others. For example, in your relationship, this could be because there is still a lot of water in the chart. It is somehow indicating that you might be going through a bit of a a crisis situation when it comes to having to look at your own needs, but attending other people's emotional needs as well. So it can feel like that I have to choose between me and others. And just like, I'm not asking you to do the bare minimum for others, but you're going to have to set boundaries when it comes to how much you do for others as well as how much you do for yourself, because others can get used to it. This week is about you potentially sitting down with people and then talking about your deepest fears, talking about your own feelings. Uh, Once in your life, you can allow yourself to not to be the rock for others, but maybe you can choose someone's shoulders to kind of cry on. And this week is about you understanding your past, your deepest feelings, and then maybe going with your gut feelings, and then eventually sharing these feelings with others as well. This week, you seem to be very still compassionate, very creative, very imaginative as well. But it might be about you discovering your spiritual path. So, good luck, and I will see you next week, Leo. Take care. Bye bye.